What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast or webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host, as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show, that's with gratitude. Just want to say thank you to anyone and everyone who supports us. Special shout out to all the students from By the Hood University, as well as the youth from the By the Hood Ownership Camp. I want to say we appreciate all of the support. My partner in crime, Corey, is traveling right now, so he can't be here, but we got a special guest. You know, our platform is designed to highlight brothers and sisters who are putting out positive energy and doing amazing work in our communities. This brother that we have here now is a business owner, investor, and you know his newest business is very interesting. So without further ado, man, I want to introduce the brother Arthur Lyons. Art, how are you, good brother?
Yo, what's going on, man? I appreciate you. Appreciate the platform.
Absolutely,
Well.
man. Listen, man, I can't wait to get into the holodeck, your newest business. I think that's very interesting and very unique. But we want to tell your story first. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Born and raised, and just a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm born and raised in Washington D.C. Area. Born in D.C., raised in Prince George's County, Hyattsville. I grew up in PG County area. Hyattsville. I moved around a lot as a kid, so all around that area. And then I moved to Philly about 18 years ago. So I've been up this way about 18 years. I live right there, actually, not too far from the holodeck, around Northern Liberties area.
Okay. So what schools did you go to on your journey coming up?
Oh man, like that. I went to so many schools. I moved around a lot. Like every couple years, I went to a different school. In high school, I went to Tacoma Academy. That was in Tacoma Park. I went to a private school. I had the opportunity to have a high school basketball scholarship. The school called Highland View out in Western Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's where I was at.
Okay. In your journey, did you go to college at all?
Yeah, so I ended up going to Morgan State University.
Okay.
I had a college basketball scholarship to play D2, but I had my sights set on D1. I went to Morgan State University in Baltimore, and then graduated from there. And then I moved to Philly to go to grad school at Drexel, in healthcare administration, actually. And that's what brought me to Philly, and I've been in Philly ever since.
All right, nice. I did grad school at Drexel as well. So
Ah,
shout out to Drexel.
yeah.
So with that being said, though, what was the next stop in your journey? So after growing up, like you said, in the DMV area, making your way up here, through schooling, what was the next step? Like, what was the step right after that in terms of like working or figuring out your path?
Yeah. So my plans and my passions have always been healthcare and real estate and business. Those kind of three things. So my college education and everything is in the background of healthcare administration.
Mm-hmm.
I moved up the ranks in the healthcare world and became a regional director for a large nursing home facility chain, and was overseeing 5 buildings in Philly in nursing facilities. Meanwhile, I continued to hone my craft at real estate. Excuse me. Starting off, learning everything I could about real estate, all the way back to the Robert Sheeman days and VHS tapes that my dad used to have that I used to watch.
You've been around for a minute.
Yeah, Carlton Sheets. Like,
yeah, man. Let me ask you a
going back
question.
to all that.
Where did that love of real estate come from? So what, like, so, you went through the traditional system of like, and you were majoring in healthcare. Where did the idea or the thought of getting into real estate, where did that come from? Did it come from your dad with the Carlton Sheets tapes, or what was that?
Yeah, for sure. Came from my pops with exposing me to that. He was in the mortgage industry. And at one time I even owned a mortgage company with him. But the real estate side come from my pops. He would expose me to HUD forms and the whole real estate transactions. When I was in high school, I used to work for him, closing deals. So real estate, he was in real estate clubs back then. He was a big consumer of all the educational platforms, so he would buy all that stuff. And then if I was in trouble or in the basement or something, I'd be pulling out his VHS tapes and reading
Gotcha.
and looking at all that stuff. And I just got the interest from him.
No,
My
that's
mother was in the healthcare side, so I think
ah.
I ended up being right in the middle, healthcare and real estate. Yeah,
You know what? That's an important part of your story, though, right? Because
yeah,
that goes to show, like, for the parents out there, that your kids are paying attention, right?
yeah,
You had a
yeah,
mother in healthcare and a father who was in the real estate side, and you ended up doing both.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's
My
a
mom
that's a,
was, yeah, and my mom was also entrepreneurial. She always had ideas. Um, she swears a lot of the things that have came out since were her idea that she never acted on. You know, um, even like I don't know if you've seen the double ketchup packet from like Chick-fil-A. She
oh,
said that was
listen,
her idea.
I've seen it
Um,
too many times. Let's put it that
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. So, so she was very entrepreneurial as well as healthcare, and then yeah, so that's how I, ended up on this path.
Okay, no, that's absolutely dope, right? So you've become a real estate investor yourself.
Absolutely.
You said you worked in the mortgage side as well. Now, in terms of that, you know, your newest business is kind of like in the VR space, right? And that's that's an interesting pivot, right? Well, not necessarily pivot because you're still in the real estate business, but creating another entity. So, and it shows right in your name for those that are like listening. He has a company called the Holodeck, right? So it's an immersive virtual reality and esports entertainment center. So it's the only VR arcade in Philadelphia. So you have like a space that you've created that has VR games and esports. Can you explain to us kind of where this idea came from and what made you actually act on this and put this in play?
Absolutely. Um, it actually started on the healthcare side, and we still have healthcare components to the company as well.
Interesting.
So it started by a connection, networking, being in rooms, having a good reputation for business. Somebody referred me to a gentleman who was starting to explore virtual reality about 4 years ago, before it became a hot topic. And he was using virtual reality for his mother, his elderly mother, who had pain in her neck, and she had some shoulder pain, and she also had some depression. And he was using virtual reality headsets to help treat help treat that. He found out that once you put the headset on her, um, and you put her in a virtual world, whether it be underwater adventures or walking on the beach or something calming, the next thing you know, even though she had said she had neck pain, now she's looking all around, she's moving her shoulder, and her mind, he believed, like, tricked her to believe and to not focus on the pain or focus on the depression because she
Wow.
was having such a good time inside of the virtual world.
Mm.
So we had some conversations and we started a study. And we would go to nursing facilities in Philadelphia and take VR headsets to nursing facilities. Um, and the ages actually ranged. People think that nursing facilities are all elderly people, but really, right now, due to the hospital pushing people out so quickly and things of that nature, there's 20-year-olds in nursing facilities, 30s, 40s, 50s, and up. And so we were doing these studies with virtual reality in these settings, and we found really strong results. And so we started talking about having a physical location that people could come to,
Mhm.
in particular elderly, people with pain, depression, things like that, that they could use virtual reality as an outlet, um, to help with those symptoms, as well as give people that are in nursing facilities some additional recreation and quality of life. So that's how it kind of tied. That's how I met him, and that's how it kind of tied into healthcare.
Okay.
And then, we decided to open up this facility. And during the daytime, our goal was to have groups of elderly and people come down and service that population. And then in
Mhm.
the evening, more so the arcade. So during the day, the elderly, people like that. Also
Okay.
corporate events, things of that nature. And then we also have the arcade and parties and turn up aspect of
No,
of the location.
that's interesting because I didn't know that part of the story in terms of
Yeah.
the healthcare part leading you here. And
Yeah.
also that's a dope story about how you a different way to think about VR. Um, and that's one of the interesting things about VR. And I want to ask you that because most people think that VR is going to affect pretty much every industry, right?
Yeah.
Even our real estate industry, right? So everything from real estate to healthcare to every industry there is. Like, so talk a little bit about like where you see VR going, where VR is now, and where you see it going in the future.
Yeah. I think we all had a little bit of a hint with Ready Player One. For anybody that hasn't seen that movie, now it'd be a good time to check it out.
Yeah.
But I do think that VR is going to a place that, like you said, will affect all industries. Um, we found ourselves in the beginning with so many opportunities that we had to make sure we picked the lane and focus on a lane, and ours specifically, aside from just the gaming and the event space and the entertainment, is really the healthcare. So we actually are in the process now of getting a Medicaid, getting Medicaid approved, and we'll be offering art therapy through VR. We'll be offering, we're partnering with psychologists to offer therapy for specifically kids and young adults with autism
Okay.
that may have behavioral disturbances, etc. But we see that VR is going to be used across the board. It could be anything from virtual tours of blueprints. Instead of looking at blueprints on paper, you can actually walk through what a building may look like. We already see a little bit of aspects of virtual reality and augmented reality in real estate now. Even on MLS, sometimes when you're scrolling through pictures of open houses, you're not looking at real furniture. You're looking at virtual furniture.
Yeah.
Tours of houses are going to be in the virtual world. I partnered with Atia Blair at one point to, especially during COVID, when people couldn't get out on these bus trips and these walk-alongs and things of that nature, to where those things could be held virtually in the virtual world. Um, Outside of what
Yeah.
we're doing, surgeons are using it. A group of kids from Jefferson University came down to our location a couple weeks ago, and some of those were architects, designers, artists, exploring how they're going to use it.
That's
Meetings,
interesting.
yeah,
And shout out to Atia. See, because in the funny, well, first of all, let's take a step back for the folks that may not know. I shouldn't assume everyone knows. When we talk about VR, we're talking about virtual reality, right?
yes,
So I want to make sure I say that. The second thing is, right, so Arthur is a accomplished investor and developer in terms of real estate. And hearing this story, it's interesting how um, you figured out a way to kind of combine your two passions into one thing. As you tell,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, so now it makes sense. So I
yeah,
see the medical aspect, and you're still in the real estate game, even with the location. So that's
yeah,
interesting. Found a way to
yeah.
like to marry the two into one thing. That's dope.
Yeah, and a lot of the way it happened, I can't even take credit for. It was a blessing. I think God had a plan, the way everything came together. Because yeah, sometimes people look and they be like, "Man, you're in like what are you? And you're in a lot of things that may not connect." But I do see the connection.
Well,
And
once
in
you told the
general,
story, now it does connect, right? You telling the
yeah,
story about your upbringing and your mother
yeah,
and father. Now it all connects, right? Because
right, right,
I didn't know that it started from the healthcare side, right?
right, right,
I know a lot of people that have been to your facility and talk about it, and they have fun. Like so they're
yeah,
like, "Oh man, this is fun. This is fun." I didn't know the healthcare side of it.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's still kind of one of those things that's hard to describe unless you try it, especially the people that are older, because it's a new adoption for people who may not have tried it yet. Facebook and Meta has done wonders for our business because it has become more popular and mainstream, so that now when we mention it, at least people have some idea. But even 2 years ago, when we were coming up with this idea, you know people had no clue. They had no clue what it was, what to expect, you know, no clue whatsoever. But now, kids, adults, elderly people, there's almost nobody that hasn't come down that we haven't been able to find an experience or have them leaving with a positive experience.
Okay, okay. And for the folks that don't know, where exactly is your place located?
1516 North Fifth Street.
Okay.
It's between Oxford and Jefferson. We're street frontage. You enter right from Fifth Street. We're part of a larger studio called Billy Penn's Warehouse. But 1516 North Fifth Street, Suite
Okay.
102.
Interesting. So when did you guys officially open?
Man, we officially opened February of 2019. It was we had a big grand opening. We had a first great couple days, and then COVID hit like that March. And
That,
then
that's
we had
that's where I was getting to. How did COVID affect everything you were trying to build? That's what I was about to ask you.
COVID. That was tough. We were so excited to open up. And then obviously, as many industries and people have gone through, we had months of no revenue, months of paying strictly out of pocket, carrying costs. Luckily, I was taking real estate profits and putting it into the holodeck to keep things afloat. But then it also turned out to be a blessing in some ways because we were able to get some of that EIDL money, the PPP loans, doing it the right way, and utilizing that money as it intended for the business and for employees and for equipment. We were able to expand some of the things we had down there without coming out of pocket.
Yeah.
So it actually kind of helped us lay a framework with some back end systems and focus on all that stuff while we weren't, in active. So that way, once we opened back up, we were ready to roll. And we opened back up, we were doing good, and then it shut down again. So then,
yeah,
but
it
was
part of the journey, though. But let me ask you the question. Going back to creating the holodeck, right? The name, the holodeck. Where's that come from? What does it mean?
So my partner came up with that name. Shout out to Lonnie Smith, by the way. He was the one that kind of had a lot of the technological ideas. He's a coder, gamer, that sort of thing. And he just didn't know how to pull the business side together. So I pulled in the business plan, the real estate, the location, the lease, the corporate, the structure, all that side, experience from raising money and real estate and businesses. And then we put together. So when we were throwing out names, he came up with the name, the holodeck. And it's a play off of Star Trek. And in Star Trek, the holodeck is a room. And in this room, if you were to look at the holodeck, it has like a grid pattern on it. And it had aspects of virtual reality because you could stand in this room and talk to somebody that wasn't necessarily standing in that room with you. That person could be somewhere else.
Yep.
So it was little hints of what was possible. Even back then, this is old episodes of Star Trek. I guess going back to the 80s, probably 70s, but the name of the holodeck, Star Trek reference.
All right, that makes sense. That's actually pretty dope. Shout out to all the Trekkies out there. But so let me ask you this though. So now that you're building this business out, are you still out there actively hunting for real estate deals, or are you just focused on the holodeck, or where's your real estate going at this point?
Yeah, I was just talking to my real estate folks. I keep in touch with them all the time, of course. But I'm actively searching for a deal. And starting to explore some different markets. There's still deals in Philly. There's deals here for sure. They're a little bit harder to come by. They're not as frequent. I was talking to somebody just a couple of days ago, and it's like deals that we used to pass on even a year and a half ago because they were outside of the price by like 5,000 to 10,000. Now I would love to have those same deals back.
Absolutely.
I would not be saying no because of a $5,000 or $10,000 discrepancy. So I'm definitely still active in real estate. I haven't bought anything in about a year and a half. I looked up, time flew, and it's been about a year and a half since I bought anything. But I took advantage of the market and sold 2 properties bidding war,
Mm-hmm.
and the timing was right to let go of them. But yeah, I'm definitely still active in real estate, and
Okay.
we'll never stop. Never ever will I ever stop.
So that's never stopping, huh?
It's
Regardless.
never. Yeah.
I mean, what about when you have, because I don't know what their future plans are, but have you guys thought about, like, once you get everything the way you need to, replicating this in other markets?
Oh, absolutely. This first location was definitely a pilot location, um, to see if the business model worked. You have to understand, when we started 3 years ago, almost three and a half, and imagine going to a bank and telling them you're going to have a virtual reality arcade. Back then, back then, you
Yeah.
know, no bank was trying to touch us. There was no competitor to compare us to. There was no strong business model in place already. At that time, we were still one of the first, even in the country, pursuing this. You know, so
Yeah.
now the business model is proven. Now we have some stronger financials coming outside of COVID, and so yeah, we absolutely want to first look at South Philly, the county, and then Southern Jersey, some other places, Atlanta, Baltimore.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, after this place gets established,
Possible
and
franchising.
potentially, potentially.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's interesting. That's dope. So let me ask you this, right? So along this journey, you talked about starting your journey in the DMV, making your way to Philadelphia, building your real estate portfolio while working in healthcare, and everything coming together, with the holodeck. Through this journey of yours, what would you say is the biggest hurdle or something that you had to overcome to get you from where you started to where you are now?
Yeah, it's probably gonna sound cliche because so many people say it. Gurus, it's like the first chapter of every guru book. It's the first, thing of on every podcast or what have you. But mindset was like number one, and I realized
So
that
break it down though. What about your mindset? Did you have to change, or what was it about mindset?
um, belief in the idea, um, the not quitting, sticking to it, even um, going through the nose, etc. Now, of course, before this business, I had never been in that situation where I had to repetitively go through multiple no's, right? I know the concept because everybody talks about it, how you have to go through all these no's to get a yes. And when making offers, of course, I'm going through that process of getting a lot of no's to get a yes. But when it came to starting this business, it was frustrating in the beginning, and it really took a strong mindset to not fold on the idea. And I also have to give credit to my partners for that. And I think what I realized from partnerships is, if you find the right partner, sometimes those days when you're in your low, they're in their high, and then when he's in his low, I'm in my high, and then that way we keep pushing
Balance.
forward towards, we keep balancing towards the end goal. And but it was really a test of strength of mindset to push through to make it happen.
I want you to talk about that for a second, right? Because in doing consultations out here, I talk to a lot of people in business, and a lot of people are I don't know if they want to say afraid, but they're reluctant to partner. How has partnership helped you? And and you talked a little bit about that in terms of the balance part, but we have a lot of people that are just like, they want to do everything solo. They don't want to rely on anyone else. And how has being open to partnership helped you in business in general?
Partnership for me is essential because, as we talked about, I was involved in, and still am in multiple things, and there's no way that I could do that without either a delegation or a strong partner to help carry the load. Um, I couldn't imagine, at this point, um, trying to do much of what I do without a partner or without a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's crucial.
Okay, yeah, and that's interesting. You brought up delegation because that's something that I personally still struggle with, right? But I partnership, no, I have all kinds of partners in various businesses, but delegation is something I struggle with, right? Because with a partnership, your partner wants it to work just as much as you do, right? Because they have a vested interest. But sometimes with delegation, where I struggle is because hiring folks and delegating, they're not technically a partner, so they don't have that same, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So but
Yeah, I understand. It's like partners in a partnership, each partner has a role, right? They have their lane, kind of their
Mhm.
responsibility, their expertise. So in my partnership, you see that beautiful location behind us. That's our location. Um, that's my partner's design eye,
Yeah.
and that I let him go through it. Now he sometimes will throw out ideas, and I'd be like, nah, no to
Yeah.
this or that or what have you. But that's kind of like his lane, you know,
Mhm.
and the technology part. But then when it comes to the business part or the contracts or developing corporate relationships, what have you, that's my lane. And in a partnership, it's like each of you have your lane, your area. The thing with, and you trust that person because they're expert at that.
Yes.
When it comes to delegating, a lot of times it's something that you would potentially do yourself, that you feel that you would do best, and now you're handing that over to somebody else to do for you.
Yeah.
And either you have to trust and know that even though they might not do well, in some cases they might not do as well as you think you would have done yourself.
Mhm.
um or it's a trust thing when it comes to delegation, to me,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
more
still
so.
working on it though, because you gotta be able to delegate, and I understand that, but I'm just being honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So let me ask you another question. What is your favorite book or a book that's inspired you?
Oh man, that's always a tough one. My favorite, well, I can tell you the most recent book
Okay.
that was surprising to me, that I can't even remember where I picked it up, but it was by 50 Cent. It's called oh man, what's the name of that book?
Listen,
Uh
well, I read all his books, so but you know,
um it was what was the name of this book?
so
This
he
it
has
was
Hustle Harder. Was it that one?
that was the one. That was the one.
Yeah, because he has the 50th Law, Hustle Harder, From Peace to the Weight.
Hustle Harder.
All right, Hustle Harder is actually an excellent book, right? So I've said it on here before. Um, I think the 50's bibliography might be better than this discography. I love 50's books,
Yeah.
but Hustle Harder was a pretty good one though. So
Yeah,
you,
Hustle Harder is a pretty good one. And I was surprised to learn a little bit more about him and his mindset, and you know some of the things that he did disciplinary wise. He talked about in that book how he doesn't even drink. You might see him with a drink in his hand, but really it was like club
all
soda or
marketing.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was all marketing, and he's just focused. Even if you see him in the club, it's business.
Mm-hmm.
He had specific strategies even to when he goes out. Talked about being in situations where he was tempted, talking about being in a room with Snoop Dogg and people who were blazing and smoking and trying to get him to do the same, and
Mm-hmm.
saying no, and him being very intentional about his business, being intentional about being disciplined, and then the parallels with business and his success,
Yeah,
and how he mapped everything out. I thought it was a really good book, and I was surprised by it.
yeah. Shot to 50. That was definitely a dope book. Man,
Yeah.
so what does the future look like for you? All right, like what does the future look like for you as well as the holodeck? You talked a little bit about possible franchising. Are there other businesses you're looking to get into, or is it just you're just building out real estate in the holodeck? Like, what's the future look like for you?
Yeah, so I still plan to marry all these, real estate, healthcare. Um, I took a stab at starting an assisted living facility a couple years ago. Um, that kind of fell apart because of the building I was trying to get was a historical building, and the city just wasn't allowing the use that I wanted. because we needed to put in an elevator and all that. Anyway, but expanding the VR business, as we talked about a little bit, kind of trying to dominate this area marketplace with VR.
Okay.
And it's not just gaming, like we talked about. It's going to be the healthcare aspect and the overall event space aspect. On the real estate side, getting into larger multifamily purchases. I do want to try development as well. That's one part I haven't done is new construction.
Okay.
And then I also own a credit repair business that in the same vein of partnering and delegating and such, but still and helping other people. I've gave away equity in that business to somebody else who I'm training to totally run it.
Okay.
But I'll still be involved. And I think that's the other good thing about partnerships is I don't think we're put here on this earth to work in a silo. I think we're if we do that, we're hoarding our gifts and we're not helping other people develop and grow and giving other people opportunities. That's why I love what you guys do with By the Hood and what you do for the kids and in the community.
Appreciate that.
A lot of you do for free and education and because it's about sharing gifts with other people to help them, develop, and then they'll therefore go out and do the same thing to others.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you for those words. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
man. So this is interesting, man. So once again, for the folks listening that may be in our local area, could you give them the address? And do they have to? Is it something where they can just come into experiences? Do they have to make an appointment? Do they have to book time? How does that work?
Yeah, so right now, due to COVID and everything, the best way is to go to our website and book a time online.
Okay.
It will allow you to book.
I'll make sure your website as well as your Instagram and everything is in the description.
Okay.
But so that's the best way for them to do it is book time, right?
Yep. At the Holodeck is our IG. Theholodeck.com is the website. You can book time directly on there. Pick whatever time you want to come. We do on occasions have walk-ins available too if you want to call that day to see if there's walk-ins available. But we have to schedule so that we can clean and sanitize everything in between parties. And we still are trying to limit the amount of people in the space at one time for social distancing, etc. So we're doing bookings through the website.
Let me ask you this question. Just thinking about the future of VR and where this whole thing is going, how will it affect you with it becoming more commonplace and people having VR in their homes? So how will that affect you?
Yeah, good question. So the thing about VR in the homes, well, first of all, it's becoming more affordable for everybody, right? And a lot of people have their own headset. The thing about doing it at home is you're still doing it kind of by yourself. You might have 1-2 headsets maybe, but you've seen those memes of people punching the TV and knocking their kids out and tripping. A friend of mine broke his ribs on the dining room table.
Really?
Because, he was in the VR world and he was doing this experiment, and then his girlfriend came and scared him from behind and pushed him, and he fell, cracked his ribs on the dining room table.
Oof.
So at home, it's dangerous. At home, you're still by yourself. When you come to our place, you can do multiplayer games with your party there. So you can, be boxing somebody that's right beside you. You can have 15, 20, 25 people come down to our location and all still have that social aspect of it. Also, VR is going to a place where, I think Zuckerberg does want it to be in everybody's home. And there's these devices called, they're treadmill devices. And if you look at Player One, it's basically like a 360-degree platform that you stand on. And so you can run on it, even though you're standing in place, run, jump, etc. We have a couple of those down at the Holodeck as well.
Oh, you have them? Nice.
Yeah, we do. But I do see that people will have it at home. But this will also be a place where you can bring your headset down and then interact with, multiple players and things of that nature. But then that's also why we're focusing on
party too. Sounds like
party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, parties. Yeah, we've had some nice parties down there, both for kids and for adults.
Okay.
But I'm already looking to the future that, as far as from a business aspect, the gaming part of it is going to phase out, just like all gaming previously has, just like arcades of the past with, we're phased out because you got consoles at home, to certain aspects. I mean, Dave and Buster's is still good because they still provide something that a typical person can't get at home. We're still providing something that you can't get at home. You can't get 20 people down there. And then as well as, like I mentioned before, we have the whole medical aspect with the therapies and things that's what we really see, like long term, is where the business will go.
I got a couple more questions for you before we get out of here. So the one question, right? You talked about, how it being in a home won't affect you. The metaverse and cryptocurrency, right? Is that something that you've delved into to see how this can, tie into what's going on with your VR or at all?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking into well, first of all, we have NFTs for sale now through my son, or through my partner's son, who's autistic. We've turned some of his art into NFTs, and so we're selling NFTs. We started developing a coin. Actually, we haven't decided, how far we're going to take this, but we were exploring. We've already designed the coin, and we're exploring now what kind of utility can we assign to the coin or to our NFTs so that people get value from it when they buy it.
That was my next question, but you are, you're thinking about that. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're active there. We're looking into developing our own world. And this world would be specifically for kids and young adults with autism to be able to come and practice their social skills and things like that in our holodeck virtual world. So yeah, we're definitely.
So it's already on your radar. Got you.
Yeah. And we want to be a place that we have some educational things coming out soon. We're working on finalizing being part of Philly Tech Week, which is coming up the first week in May. To where we'll have some education related to the metaverse and different things going on in there, and how you can monetize it and things like that.
Okay. The last question I have for you is so you've been doing this a little while. What is the most popular game when people come down with the VR set? Like, what do you think is the most popular game, or a couple of them?
Yeah. So Thrill of the Fight is a boxing game. I have a professional boxer who has come down and said that it rivals a normal workout of his. He's been down several times now, and there's a professional level in this game to where when you're done, you're like drenched.
Oh, I gotta write this down. Is this on the Oculus?
Oculus, yeah. Thrill of the Fight. Thrill of the Fight.
Oh, Thrill of the Fight. Okay.
Yeah, because what people don't realize is that VR is actually exercise. You have the headset on, you're moving your arms, you're moving your body, you're acting, and before you know it, because you're enjoying it, your heart rate was up, you're sweating, So Thrill of the Fight is one. Robo Recall. Okay. That's a really good one. It's very active, great graphics. That's another good one. Those are my two favorite.
Okay. All right. That's enough. I just want to know. I'm pretty sure you have some data that most of us don't. Like, and I was trying to figure out, like, what's popular. Yeah. And I figured it would be something like combat related. I mean, it lends itself to that.
Resident Evil just came out with one. If you're into that type of game, that's really good. Yeah.
All right, man. This is amazing, man. And for the last time, I'll ask you one more time, just for the folks who may be listening to this on the audio version. Could you give us the address and your website one more time?
Sure. 1401. No, I'm sorry. About to give you my address. Don't
do that. Don't do that.
Wrong address. 1516 North 5th Street, Suite 102. And on IG at the Holodeck, and the website www.theholodeck.com.
All right. If everybody listening, I'll make sure to put not Arthur's personal address, but I'll put the address to the Holodeck as well as all their social media and website within the description, as well as the show notes. If you're in the area, please make sure that you support. Hey, throw a party there for your kids, or throw a party for you and your friends. Go check it out. And get to really experience VR in a group setting. I think this is amazing, man. And congratulations on your success
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Much continued success as well as you grow this brand out. Hopefully we'll have you back, when you guys are all over the world. That would be amazing to see.
Yeah. Shout out to Kahan. Shout out to Kahan too for
absolutely,
out
man.
to you. Shout out to Kahan.
Yeah,
and Jabbar. Jabbar mentioned you as well. So
that's family.
Circles. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Bar and Kahan is all family. Shout out to both of those brothers, man.
Yeah.
But listen, man, all right, I just want to say I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And like I said, continued success, man. I just want to, see this thing grow and become, a lot bigger than it is, because the one part that I didn't know until we had this talk was the health aspect and how VR is helping people in the health industry. That's dope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So for everybody out there, make sure you follow the Holodeck online. Go follow their IG. And make sure you schedule time and go see what they got going on. But as we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we shall see you guys in our next episode. We appreciate y'all. Peace.
Peace. Thanks, Jimmy.